Hey guys, what is going on? URounder here, and as promised, oh gosh, 0.9, is that right? As promised, I'm gonna do a 6-table video today. I guess we might as well just get it in here. Alright, seems easiest. Cool. Unfortunate for that guy, good for us. Good way to start the session. So, oh shoot, you know what? I forgot again. We were at like 157 because now we've got 6 tables open. We must have been at 167. So let's say we start at 167 because 10 times 6 is 60 and we're at 107. So 60 plus 107, 167, which is actually pretty good. We did better last session than I thought we did. Yeah, those noises are pretty loud. I'm going to turn that all down. Yeah, basically last session I thought like we didn't do that well, but apparently we did. So, cool. So yeah, back up close to our high mark. Let's see if we can get a good good hour of play today. And then I got to play some normal stakes today as well. It's Saturday, so the games are going to be good. I'm going to play some 100 and 200 no limit over on Ignition probably, and yeah, then we'll get back. I'll try to do another hour tomorrow, but mostly I got to play my real stakes on the weekends. But so far, like I said, I'm really enjoying making the videos, so I'm going to keep doing it. We definitely looks like we're going to have enough action on these tables, so hopefully I can still play my A game on 6 tables and comment on a few hands here and there. Basically, 6 tabling, 10 no limit should be a fairly slow, steady grind in the upward direction unless we run really bad. Everything should be fairly straightforward, fairly easy. We're not gonna make any massive hero calls. What the heck was that? Yeah, people just shoving all in pre-flop. We've been playing for like 14 seconds and we've already seen 2 like pre-flop all in shoves, right? Which is never, right? We know that that's never correct. That's never optimal. So it's a fairly safe bet that, those are players that aren't that good. Even if they're doing it with aces, it's still not correct. So when we see plays that are obviously outside of optimal, it's always a good sign. It means that players don't really understand the game that well and are making fairly basic mistakes, which is what we would expect. And yeah, just kind of confirmation that the games are good. Well, there's 5x ISO. I think the 6x was a little aggressive. Maybe not though. So the argument I hear for basically keeping the pot smaller pre-flop is coherent. And it's basically that bigger mistakes can be made with a smaller stack-to-pot ratio. So imagine that you raise, and then post-flop, the stack-to-pot ratio is less, right? Okay, so now basically it's easier for the opponent to play with a lower stack-to-pot ratio. That is true, but I don't know if it counteracts the fact that I'm just going to fold this. I don't know if it counteracts the fact that it's just we're still going to play better than our opponents and the pots are going to be larger. So even if they don't make as large of mistakes with a lower stack-to-pot ratio, I still believe... Oof. This guy's... Yuck. That happens a lot. We fold the best hand a lot in multi-way pots. It used to really stress me out, but I don't think it stresses me out as much anymore. At least I don't think it should. Basically, yeah, a lot of the time we fold the best hand. But basically, it's like, I feel like we make a lot more in the spots. This guy, I mean, I don't think we can fold here. Yeah, so cool. That's a really bad play, right? I mean, that's really bad. Like, there's no need to just jam it in because you have like, the pot is so small that you're fighting for. Like, my call might even be pretty bad there. We're gonna do that. Like, my call is probably, like, pretty close, but just because I thought maybe I'd seen that guy do that before. Yuck. Jesus. Holy cow. So I believe that should have been a check bet line. If it wasn't, then maybe his play's not quite as bad. I almost never hero call with ace high. I mean, it just never seems that good. But yeah, we'll just kind of mark that this guy's probably a bit of a station, and we'll go from there. I guess we'll just limp. This guy's short. I don't really want him to limp jam on me. Not that I think that's like a high frequency play from most guys limping on the button, but I definitely think completing is going to be plus EV. Same thing here. Like ISOing 6-3 suited versus completing. Pretty close. Not being as precise as I normally am with my bet sizes. Fairly quick call there. I think there's a check back. If he jams the river, I'll fold. It's a pretty ugly river. Damn, that's close. I mean, it's a 4-card straight, and the flush got there, and he's donking for what appears to be value. I'm just going to let it go. He could even be, like, blocking there with trips. Basically going to open pretty wide today. This is like a min raise. I mean, what the heck is this? We got a player to act behind. We'll fold there. Here, we're going to call because we closed the action and it's a min raise. Don't want to go. Don't want to open call too light. Open too light. 5-7 suited's probably pretty close. I think we missed a bet here, and now that the tripped up, I don't think there's any point in raising or in betting, just because he's going to call with any pair. King 8 suited, probably pretty close. Let me pull up my my charts just in case. Whoop. I think again I'm going to do this hour, then go and grab some like breakfast, and then, well, not really breakfast, I guess lunch, then come back and grind the rest of the day. All right. Sorry. Seems like one thing that I've noticed is fairly consistently, right, is if we mark somebody that they're a fish or that they have a leak, even if they take a pot off of us, usually within the session, we see them pretty much go bust at one point or another. I mean, not all the time, but, you know, the point is that you really have to just let it go, you know? You gotta be pretty level-headed when dealing with this concentration of players doing erratic things, because you might not get the money from them, but another one will come along that you will get the money from. And, you know, for some reason, I think it helps people to just know that, players making big mistakes aren't going to be successful in the long run. It shouldn't, right? It shouldn't matter one way or the other. But let's check back the nut flush. Nut flush is generally decent to check back on the turn. And then we'll just size up here. Basically, when we check back and then he checks river, he's really looking for showdown. So, like, his range has a lot of air in it and a lot of, like, medium strength hands that we're basically always going to pressure with either a value bet or a bluff. Well, actually, we might size differently if we think he has air and we're trying to get a bluff through. But, yeah, we want to size up with our value in a spot like that, I think. Although, I don't know, I could be wrong. It might be a spot where we want to merge down because of the flush draw. I'd have to actually look at a PO solver grid to decide what I really think is correct there. But, I mean, his hand is obviously fairly weak in that spot. And against the air portion of his range, it doesn't matter what we bet, he's going to fold. But against the value portion, if he is, thinking about bluff catching, then we do want to size up a little bit. King 9 might have been an open. Cut off. Yeah, whoops. Look at us playing all nitty. Even 6 tables, there's only so many hands that are worth talking. And it's hard to track the action on all the tables, so it's not like I can talk about the hands I'm not, watching, because I have to focus on my hands. About King 8. King 8's just outside. MP, no. Just outside. I could try playing some more aggressive ranges, but I'd have to pull those up. I have those in a different chart somewhere. Maybe my last 10 no limit video, I'll just do 4 tables, but I'll play some more aggressive ranges, and we'll see how that goes. Well, I guess I won't know if it's my last video, but maybe the last few videos I'll just 4 table, but I'll play some more aggressive ranges. And again, it's a little bit hard to measure how this stuff actually is working, because I'm not tracking my wins and losses all that accurately, because I thought I would be able to just use software to do it, but it's appearing as though that's not going to be the case. So, like I said, I'm verbally, mentioning what our totals are and showing them when I think of it, but I don't have a very good, actual tracking process in place yet. I guess that's something I should work on. the polarization error to bet the river on table 5. And when he pots it, I don't expect him to do it with a worse club than a 6. Maybe, but I doubt it. Sort of a strange card. I don't think he's going to actually fold any better hands. I don't think he folds a queen here. So because of that, I think it would be a mistake to bet. But I also don't think we're going to take this down too often. Table 6. He's betting like a third pot, which is kind of a weird bet sizing. Not sure what I think of that sizing. Just call this little donk bet here. It's about $2. Looks good there. Cool. We'll call that. Pretty good run out. I sometimes check this ace back, but I don't feel like doing that right now. I'm not sure why. I do check back the ace a lot on the turn, but I think, I don't know, something about it made me feel like there's a lot of, hands that are going to be calling. And I don't know, I think double barreling's fine too. I think both are good options. I'd have to actually, again, look at grids and stuff, but I think in general, when we're in a pool of players that tends to probably overfold the flop and underfold the turn and river, we just want to go for value on the turn and river more often. I don't have a lot of data to back that up, but that's my gut feeling on it, is that we just want to bet probably a little bit thinner and more often for value on the turn and river, and bluff a little bit less on the turn and river. All right, so we've doubled up on 2 tables pretty much so far. Hopefully we can keep it rolling. Cut off. Nah, not quite. Yeah, this one's always close. I don't know. I'm just gonna go with my default play here, just to bet the turn. We've seen this guy call down with ace high, so we could actually get value out of him. Yeah, I'm not calling with under pairs. Not something I do. So this guy's just limping 8-9 offsuit. That's sort of the moral of that story, is that, you know, you've got, I mean, seems pretty bad, right? We'll just pot it. But like, yeah, limping 8-9 offsuit's pretty bad. You know, shouldn't even be an open from that position, let alone a limp, let alone limping at all. So, I mean, yeah, this guy's donk betting in a 3-bet pot, which is, I mean, basically, I think that most players here are probably on the most basic level of like, oh, I have a hand, I should bet it. So I'm not like crazy about calling multiple streets against this guy, especially on a triple Broadway like this. Even though I have a gut shot and position, I think I'm just going to fold. Some of my gut shots can get counterfeited. It looks like a really bad fold probably to most people watching, just because we've got a pair plus a gutter and position. However, on a triple Broadway board where it's a 3-bet pot and somebody's like betting twice into you, again, like the typical donk line, yes, I would say, you know, you just call down. But when ranges are that focused on high cards, like my range has a ton of like ace king, kings, queens, jacks. Like my range has all those things in it. Even the most basic player understands that about 3-bet pots. Like even the worst player understands that people 3-bet pocket aces and pocket kings more often than other hands. So when they see a triple Broadway board, they have to understand that those are hands that I can have. So when they're betting twice into it, it's very unlikely that they're going to be bluffing. And again, I always kind of come back to this, like if they are bluffing, like they're going to get caught, right? I mean, it's going to become much more expensive to try and bluff against people in 3-bet pots on triple Broadways without a hand. That's not going to be something that's going to make a ton of money, because my hand is really concentrated to strong hands there. Whoops. Just trying to find that hand. I actually wanted to save it. Can't find it. Deck did I have? Ace. It was ace jack, right? So let me see if I can find. I kind of want to save that hand. Hand history. Ace jack offsuit. If like you don't grab these hand histories really fast, you lose them, because the hand history system is just not that great. Oh, there's ace jack. Yeah. Found it. off. That's probably pretty close. It's just outside, but we're going to go for it. 9-7 suited, and that guy's short, and we'll call here. This obviously has to be a call. That's unfortunate. Again, not much we can do there. Guy, donk jams middle pair. What can you do? This might be a cool spot to raise, but right, like we just have so much equity here that like raising probably isn't too bad. That's a terrible card. Can't really justify a fold yet. Nice. That's horrible. Just total vol. This is important to specify that like this guy's even volatile in multi-way pots, because most players understand, right, that like you just really shouldn't be bluffing that much in multi-way pots, especially over multiple streets. The chances of you like really folding out two hands are probably just not that great. So when you see somebody actually like bluffing or merge betting, in a completely irrational way, that's a really good indicator of a player that's gonna be incredibly unbalanced. So that's fun to find. Fun to find a good example of that to point out to you guys. Sort of a weird. I guess we'll just fold. Sort of a strange pattern. That card's going to get us into more trouble. Ugh. A little worried about like ace king, but what can you do? This guy seems pretty fishy. Yeah, he is pretty fishy. He just happened to have a hand that tied ours. It's important to note that he probably does the same thing with like ace 10 or ace 7. Like that's the bottom of what we would ever call with there, right? Like that's the absolute worst hand that I would call with in that spot, and the fact that he's like sort of insta shipping that same hand tells me that, put us with a bunch of different hands in that spot, I'm probably going to do much better. All right, I'm playing heads up against this guy now. That'll be interesting to see. Probably not the best idea to play heads up in general, just because we've got a lot going on, but I think I can hold my own. We'll see. don't think we need to defend this. Typically, heads up we would, but again, this guy's only got a half a stack. Only had half a stack. Oof. Hoping we'd just get it in there. Oh, he won a pot. He's gonna take his small pot win and leave. Fair enough. I wouldn't want to play against me heads up either. Alright, let's see what other tables we've got here. No other 6 max tables available right now. I've got 20 minutes left. So I'd like to get another one, but we'll see. Oh, got one. Leave. And there we go. Ace 10, I'm not going to squeeze with. Yeah, I know this is just a min bet, but again, it's multi-way. We have some pretty mediocre backdoor draws. I don't think that's quite enough to continue out of position, like caught in the middle multi-way. Would like a little more action, but I mean, even if, you know, making a buy-in or a buy-in and a half every hour is obviously really good, it just doesn't feel as good when you're only playing 10 no limit. Again, if we actually went into my win rate, I think it would be pretty stellar. I'm still going to try to figure something out. If nothing else, maybe I can like email them and at least get how many, you know, maybe I can at least ask them if they can give me the information on how many hands I played at 10 no limit and how much I made or something like that, just to get an idea. Yeah, it's like, oh gosh, almost timed out. That would have been rough. I think first under the gun, I would fold. First the rest of these guys, I'm not. I'm not folding. Just because they called. They could have 3-bet and they didn't. But versus their original raiser, I think if he jammed on me, I would fold. Versus all the rest of these guys, I'm not worried. Yeah, not worried about this either. Let's go. What is 2? I don't know, something like that. Whatever. Should be a little less, but. It's probably theoretically correct to size up a bit here. I'm just going to get it in. If we run into a set, we run into a set. What can you do? We ran into a set. We still have some outs? No, of course not. Happens. I think it makes the most sense just to get it in, because what's going to happen is by getting it in on the flop, you get to get it in against pair plus draws, which is going to be like a pretty big part of a lot of opponents' ranges. You're pretty much up against like sets, pair plus draws, and like, you know, whatever ace 9, you know, top pair that is a little bit confused with how to play. Well, maybe it's not even that bad, but yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with the decision to try to get it in on the flop with an overpair. Especially since we had some redraws on sets even, other than our 10s. I don't know, maybe we could read something into his sizing, but I don't know, I'll grab it. That was a pretty big lost hand, so maybe I'll grab it and review it later. Go back into my hands and pocket 10s. Doesn't feel like they were that long ago. There they are. All right. Basically, I'm just going to paste these hands into a notepad, the links, so that I can review them later. This is pretty close. I might just be able to fold this on the flop. All right. Oops. Where the heck did my notepad go? All right. Grab that hand. These are both basically against unknowns. I mean, not quite unknown, because we know they're playing 10 no limit on Global Poker, which isn't irrelevant, but cool. Got a couple hands to review. A little bit of a light ISO here with 9-8 off. This is also a fairly light call with ace queen. if I'd been paying a little bit better attention to what this guy's doing with the whole like min donk, and then like size up, that I mean, there's no way that he's doing that in some sort of balanced way, right? This is what I think is really important for guys who are playing at these limits, is to just recognize that whatever people are doing, like this sort of really bizarre play is almost never balanced, right? It is completely exploitative. So the point is once you figure out what is going on, it becomes just really easy to play against it. So the key for micro stakes, I mean the key at any level, is to really pay attention to your opponents and try to pick up on the reads and everything else. But especially when it's a little bit harder to pick up on versus a good opponent who's playing fairly consistent, because they are right, like their imbalances aren't quite as obvious. But when you're playing against guys whose imbalances are just like massive, as soon as you find it, it's going to be really easy to exploit. Hopefully that makes sense. Sorry, I was getting some messages on Skype, but I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense though. Like, the point is that even if you can't figure out what like the min donk half pot line is, once you do figure out what it is, you're going to be able to massively exploit it. And so even if like you do lose a couple pots where you're frustrated or where you think like, that could have gone better, yeah, basically at the point at which you can actually get some showdowns and figure out what that is, that strategy is almost certainly very, very imbalanced. All right, let me see what the heck this guy's saying. Talking to my buddy Jeremiah, who's also playing on Global, and he just had a plus $300 1 hour session at 200, and we were talking about basically he said, maybe we should have just stuck to 200 NL and just grinded out a really big bankroll there instead of getting sort of cocky and moving up to 400 and 500 no limit over on Ignition. And I said, yeah, multiple 10K, 8 to 10K a month, probably we should have appreciated that a little bit more, because we basically tried to move up as quickly as possible, as far as possible, and ran into variance and got discouraged to some extent. And yeah, basically we could have just been grinding 200 no limit, making 8 to 10K a month and been really happy with that. And instead we were like really determined to move up to 400 and 500 no limit as fast as possible. So yeah, it's interesting to put things in perspective like that. What the hell's going on here? All right, where are we at? 51 minutes, so we should get our pop-ups. Our pop-ups should start pretty soon. And I think we kind of like mucked up this session here at the end, the last couple hands. Maybe turn this into not so great a session, unfortunately. would just call here, but since this guy is doing the old main donk, we're gonna have to bump it up with our set. Just sort of have to, right? Got to put some money in. Especially like this is a very draw heavy board. See what's up. He has second pair, so that's good. It's a really nice play. Well done. That was a multi-way pot. Whoa! Don't want to mess that up. I don't know. That probably should be a call, even though pot odds weren't that great. Yeah, so basically, this is another just general theory that I remember being significant at one point in my career was recognizing where a lot of our money comes from, and it's from like stuff like that. I mean, I know that wasn't a very big pot, but just generally speaking, like a lot of our money comes from, this must be a check. We must have opened under the gun with this. So we could like check raise this or something. So basically, most of our money comes from people making big mistakes, right? Like especially at these limits. There are just guys that are going to make huge mistakes. And trying to figure out how to weigh. Damn. I don't know. I'm not sure. Anytime I'm like really not confident, I think folding's probably good. I hope it's clear why this becomes a really easy fold on the river. I think this guy's pretty aggro from what I recall. Ooh, that's a good turn. Probably not going to be able to fold now. I'm pretty sure this guy's like pretty fishy. And I'm actually only judging by the fact that I'm pretty sure I've seen him like in the chat and stuff. So we'll see. Alright, well. This play is actually probably okay. He just happened to run into my two pair. Bummer. And we'll call heads up. The reason we raised the set in the multi-way pot was because it was multi-way. We'll just bet for value here. All right, what are we at, 55? Probably start wrapping the session up. If you want, I can, well, I guess you guys can't really answer me right now, but I can try to end the session and chat for a bit so I can show what we actually ended up at for our total balance. Let me go ahead and that's what I'll do. I'll just sit out blinds. Call. Could have 3-bet that, but this is the other thing. Playing 6 tables and talking, like my time banks start going away. And when time banks disappear, that's when big mistakes can happen, like folding aces and queens pre-flop. So I don't really want to play on a low time bank. That's another limiting factor. Okay. All right, I think we've got, we got it clicked on every table. So what I'll do is I'll sit out on all these tables, and then I will get the total for our, where we're at. I can tell it's not going to be great because we're at $91, so, you know, for anyone who's motivated, they can take the $91 and add whatever's on all these tables, and that's what we're at. So Looks like 60, 70, 86, 186. Well, that's higher than we started. We started at what, 167? So maybe we made a little bit of money, which is cool. As long as we're going in the right direction, that's... I think basically my buddy and I thought that 400 no limit was just as soft as 200 because a lot of the same players were playing at 400 no limit. I think I talked about this in another video, but one thing that we found was even the fishy players that were playing 200 no limit, for whatever mental reasons, they did not make the same large mistakes at 400 that they made at 200. Like, they were not bluff jamming as much with no equity and stuff like that nearly as often in the bigger games as they were in the smaller games. Even though they were playing in both and it was the same player, they would actually play more conservatively once the money started getting bigger. And I thought that was a really interesting observation. I actually almost feel like I have the opposite problem. When I move up in stakes, I tend to assume everyone's better and everyone's more aggressive. And so I tend to actually stack off lighter and I don't know about bluff more aggressively, but definitely I tend to stack off lighter, and I think that's a mistake. I think that basically, at least in the pool I was playing, I don't think players were being as aggressive at the higher stakes, and I just assumed that they would be. All right, guys. Well, like I said, I think from what I can tell, we're at, well, wait a minute, 90, 150, 160, 170, so like 176. And we were at, what, 167? So maybe we're up like 11 or 12 bucks. Let's see. Let's just leave all these and see. Leave, 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 leave. It doesn't really like to sit still. Let me see if I can. All right, maybe if I remember, I'll cut this part out. All right, 182. So we went, no, that's pretty good. So we went from 167, I believe, to 182. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we're doing it up. So I'll see you guys in the next one.